you wish that you had gotten into the boutique side of things sooner. So I feel like this is really unique in our industry. You're expanding into other places. I mean, you said that your goal is to get into 50 states. So welcome back, all you successful stylists, to Successful Stylist Academy podcast. I'm hanging out with one of my girlfriends today that I think this is going to be a really relatable story for you guys. Samantha Landin has started her career in the industry over 15 years ago. She's now a salon owner of 7 years, and she's running a boutique for the past 2 years. But all this started kind of happening progressively. So I'm really excited to pick Samantha's brain, and I feel like this is going to be something that you guys are going to want to hear more about. So please welcome with me, Samantha. Hey girl, how is it going? And thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Hi, good morning. Happy weekend. Happy Saturday. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I feel like your story is so relatable to like where my background is too. And so I know that those who are listening are going to really feel you on this. But I think it's really cool who guided you and how you got inspired to even start out as a hairstylist. So if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about your journey and how you got started in this industry.
Yeah, so I knew like always I wanted to like be in fashion or in hair. I didn't know exactly what, that entailed. I just remember growing up and like creating it was called Natural magazine, and just putting tons of like photos in it and like pictures of people that look like me. I didn't know exactly what that meant at the time. I really went into doing hair in high school. And I actually got pregnant, ended up graduating early, went to college. And during that time, I was assisting a hairdresser who was really like taking me under his wing without really taking me under his wing, right? Like he was like, let you do the books, do the numbers, do all this stuff, help me blow out hair, and really listen to the clients. And this is like before coaching, this is before what we do on a regular basis. He was like really teaching me how to create the clientele that I really wanted to see in my chair. And, these clients in his chair were like traveling around the country. Their kids were like in boarding schools. They were, high-end clientele, and they were traveling and they were like, seeing the world. And it's something that I had always wanted to do. And the more I really invested and got paid nothing, because at the time, I remember going in there and I was doing everything and I knew I had to get paid because I had a son. But at the time, I think hairstylists didn't really get tipped very well. I think we would get paid tipped like maybe $10 a day. And so I sat him down and he's like, okay, I'm like, I really want to be like your assistant. I want to be here long term. I think kids now kind of lack this, but I was like telling him, these are all the things that I'm like really good at. I can structure your business. I had been the most organized, and I had already been with him for 7 months and not getting paid very well. And I was like, I can like set up your system very, very well and keep you organized. And, if you pay me this much. And he said, well, let's sit down, tell me all your bills, and I'll pay all your bills for you. And I said, okay. And I was like, and he's like, and I'll send you to Paul Mitchell in San Diego so you can like learn like hair, good hair. And I said, good hair. And like, I do good hair. And he said, yes, but you want to like step out of the norm. Like you want to learn more. And again, at that time, people weren't doing like, well, not in my area. I don't know. I just feel like out of school, people are not teaching us like, spend $16,000 on extra education. They're just like, go behind the chair and make money, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going to do it. And so for me, I was just always inspired to learn. And I think that's what kind of sets me apart. I've always like said, like, I'm going to give my employees more commission so they can like choose the education that they want. Because sometimes I feel as owners, I may love one thing. It doesn't really technically mean they're going to love the exact same thing. This way they can make their money and go take the education that they truly want, right? And so I just like, learned along the way. I really felt I did everything the safe way, not really the scary way. And I really feel like I should have leaned more into the boutique. If I could have chose a business to start off with, I probably would have chose to open the boutique first. I was just like, it's too much of an investment. It's too much money. It's too much this. It's too much that. People are not going to buy it. People are not going to believe in it. Just a lot of stuff different stuff like that. So I really was like good at hair. My hands did the craft. I became an educator for KMS and Goldwell. So all those things, I think everything happens for a reason, but deep down when you feel like something is good for you and you should just do it, but you kind of like hold back. I'm 30, I'll be 34 this year. And so I really feel like I have really leaned into just being here for where I'm at. So, I mean, the boutique we're shipping to probably about 42 states. I'm trying to do all 50 states, Hawaii being one of them. And I'm really excited about how the boutique is going. It's really shifted us into really collaborating with hair, because hair, we're taught, like what our base says, hair is fashion, but we're so stuck on the hair that sometimes we don't put the clothes together or the jewelry. And I feel like it's such a missing piece to our environment, because we can't have a runway show without hair and makeup. It wouldn't work, right?
Yeah, totally.
Marc Jacobs is never going to have anybody go down. Chanel's never going to have anybody go down without the hair and makeup. But it's such a divided industry for good reasons, because we want to give people, credit where credit is due. But you can really combine them. And I feel with the world of internet, it happened when it was meant to happen. We're striving in an area in the moment that it should have strived. So I don't disagree on how we went about things. I just, you learn as you get older to also talk to your younger self and say, hey, like you could have done this, a while back, because you should have believed in yourself.
I feel like there's so many little nuggets that people could take away from this. And you actually mentioned earlier that you wish that you had gotten into the boutique side of things sooner. So I feel like this is really unique in our industry. And I feel like I want to hear a little bit more about this in your perspective, just based on what you've learned in this process. Like, walk us through that. Tell us a little bit about how you got started in clothing boutique, and why is it that you wish that you would have started sooner?
Yeah, I mean, I had always had friends like say, I like your outfit, I like your clothes, I like your makeup, where you're getting this, where you're getting that. And at that time, like, it wasn't a thing. You were sending people to like Target, Macy's, the internet, it wasn't something that I knew. I just knew jewelry because my mom was obsessed with jewelry. So I knew when I opened the boutique, I was like, we'll have jewelry out. It'll be a thing. People can buy it. We opened a very small space. The first time. And so I was like, we'll have jewelry out. People will come in here and they'll want jewelry. And if they can't really be a part of, I was so into like creating a brand, not really creating the care or an object, that I really wanted people to take something home with them. And if they were out of town, they didn't really specifically need me to be there. Right. So they could still be part of your new image and buy a necklace or buy something, and they didn't need to specifically need me to do their hair. And that was like a turning point for us, because we created the brand. People were buying it started off with candles, it started out with jewelry. And then little by little, I started having clothes we had this room called the media room in our space. And the first space, it was such a tiny, tiny room. I even put clothes in there. I made it like a little closet. I kept saying like, it's a girls' salon. It's like for people to come in and feel like you're at my home, like my girlfriend's home. I want you to walk in and feel like we also didn't have a front desk either. And I never really wanted a front desk. I wanted someone to come into the environment and immediately be in it. You're like already in my house. We're drinking mocktails, we're drinking champagne, we're getting dressed, we're buying jewelry, we're doing our hair. It's more of a feeling, right? A brand. Yeah, once we started doing that, people were doing it little by little. Became more natural. People were coming in, doing their hair, buying a necklace, buying a top, buying something. We actually traveled a lot. Me and my wife, we went to San Francisco, and Glossier had just launched, and they had just launched their first ever pop-up ever. So we flew out to see it and be a part of it. And I really wanted to see how Glossier did a pop-up. In our city, nobody was doing pop-ups yet. So when we did that, we came back and we started doing pop-ups with other boutiques and having them sell their clothes in our shop. And it was just like a turning point in our business, where we just felt we just felt like it was time for me to probably do it. My wife is also an accountant. So she was also like, oh God, no more ideas. Stop.
That's funny. Yeah.
She's like, oh no, I think you need to slow down. I'm like, well, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, we move on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So at what point did you move into online, or did you start out online at the same time that you opened up the boutique side?
Actually, Your New Image has always been a little bit beyond its years. So we actually, before even opening a salon, I had a web page. So I had a blog first, had a podcast, all that before even opening up the shop. I don't have a podcast anymore. It's too much time for me.
Yeah, it is a lot of time. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, so it was not for me. So we did that. And when we opened, a photographer, I was already doing photo shoots too, like with clothes and friends and hair. And so we were already creating all of it. So yeah, the webpage has always been solid. We just keep moving over it, like where we're no longer having to pay or rent space from somebody online. We're paying, it's our own. And the more it continues to grow, we just kind of, change.
That's so cool. So you're just changing with the times as things feel right. You're learning through your experience, and you're expanding into other places. I mean, you said that your goal is to get into 50 states. So where did you start out with that? So you started opening up your shop, and was it only open to US, or are you actually specifically targeting towards specific states?
Yeah, so actually relationships, I think me and you are in a position to build relationships and have girlfriends. And honestly, I just started shipping to my girlfriends, and my girlfriends were telling their friends. So at first it was like California, and then it was San Francisco, and then it was New York, and then it was San Antonio, which is closer to me. And then it was Dallas and Florida, just different states. And we also don't target a specific model. I think that has a lot to do with it. Our sizes run from, and not because the times have changed. I have also been a size 13. So my clientele is a normal size 12, 13. And also my clients are going to hear this. I want them to hear it. We have also clients who are very petite, right? So it was either their clothes were too normal or too big or not big enough. So we immediately targeted the client who was a size 13 first, because I was seeing them in my chair every single day. And then we switched over to adding extra smalls for like this more petite person. And that's, I mean, just talking about it and speaking about it. And I guess the right answer to your question would be, one, the relationships we're building, and two, the product really sells itself. I spoke about this yesterday on IG. I don't sell anything. I'm not here to say, this is my brand, please come buy a necklace, come support my business. It's really, people are seeing it, loving it, they're purchasing it, and I believe in the product, so it sells itself.
Oh, that's so relevant. I feel like that works for like pretty much everything, not just the relationship part, which is super relevant. I mean, that's what builds success in itself, with no matter what career path you go down. But the fact that you can just show it and you love it, it's an extension of you. If people are gravitating toward you as a person in general, they're liking the extension of you, which is what your brand is. So I feel like that's a key takeaway. So if we were to dip more into the business side of things with the salon, I am curious, like share a little bit about that. Like at what point in your career did you decide that you wanted to expand into salon ownership?
Okay, so I actually was the same hairdresser that I assisted. He had a friend who was going to open up a shop, a salon, and she was moving in from New York to the city and asked me to like run her space and be the manager. It was a total failure. I failed in so many ways as a leader, as a manager. I wanted to hire no one like me, and I wanted to do it all, which is absolutely the incorrect freaking way. Like, like you need to hire people who are better at things than you are. Like if like that, this is like, in that experience, I was like, holy moly, I need to take a step back. I cannot like manage the salons. It's gonna be a total shit show if I continue. So I actually told the owner, I said, I need to take a step back. I need to be just a stylist. I have a lot of learning to do. And if I am trying to be the center of attention in your business, this is not for you. This is not for me. And so she actually didn't demote me. She just said, I think there's a lot of growth that you're doing here just by saying that, you know?
Yeah.
So, so she's like, that's okay. I will hire the people and you guys like continue, like you do all the other stuff, right? Which is like ordering color and doing her numbers, and hairdressers don't like to do numbers. So it
That's
was,
very true.
yeah, so it was just something that I was just really good at. So I just did it for her, I did it for this other man. Then she ended up getting a divorce, selling the salon. She moved away. I ended up having to make a decision. Do I go back with this man or do I rent a station behind the chair? So I rented two different places. I never really felt like it was a fit in for me. In 2000 and gosh, just around the first recession, I was in a position or in a place where the person was not giving enough culture to the business. So she wasn't seeking the right clientele. She wasn't in a position to do these things.
I feel like that's super common. I know a lot of people, they just want to have everyone be their clientele
Yeah.
and they haven't like figured out what their perfect market is yet.
No, the only thing that I liked about her, which was very dumb, was that she let me pay my rent up front to her. And so it was
It's the
very
little
dumb.
things.
Yeah, just because I mean, it's great. It worked well for me because it was like less money up like for the entire year, but it wasn't smart business numbers wise for her. And it wasn't my job to teach her that, right? So moved on, left there, moved on. I kind of hit rock bottom at that moment. Went through a horrible breakup, lost all of the clientele that I had built and like kind of created. And I did not know what I was going to do. I'm like, do I leave the industry? Do I do hair? What the heck do I do? So I got on my knees, I said a prayer and said, whatever you bring to me, God, I will do it. Whether I like it or not, I will do it. Just put me in where I need to be. So he actually sent me to a salon that had like loud hairdressers, a group of 27 hairdressers, R&B music, 90s jams, loud. People,
Sounds fun.
it was so fun. It was so fun. People were doing pink hair, green hair, whatever. And the guy came in, he said, do you have clientele? And I said, no. And he said, okay, well, I'm not giving you clientele. This was like, I don't even know what year anymore but this is right before I open a salon. And he tells me, I'm like, I have no clientele. He's like, I'm not going to give you clientele. You're a renter. If you come in here, you're a renter. You bring your own clientele. You figure it out. And I'm like, okay. And so I stood with him for 3 years at the time, built clientele from scratch, built a business, built a name, started doing his social media, started helping him do all that stuff. It came a little tricky. I asked him, let me do all of your media. Media is about to take off. Things are going to change. I'm an educator now. The world is about to change. This is right before Instagram was like a major impact for our business. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I said, all you have to do is give me an extra chair and I'll stay here forever. Give me 2 chairs and I'll do all your media. And that is it. Didn't want to do that. And I said, okay, well, let me buy into your business. I'm doing all this stuff. I could help you. He doesn't want to do that. So he's selling his small location and a different location. I'm like, let me buy your small location. We can still be friends. We can make it work. Like, didn't want to do that.
Wow.
No, didn't want to do that. So then I said, okay. So again,
did you feel like Pretty Woman at that moment? You're like, big mistake, huge mistake.
I just said, okay, I mean, what the heck was I going to do? Right. So I drove past this land and I kept saying, one day I'm going to be in this location. I'm going to open a salon here one day. Maybe it'll be there. Maybe it won't. Maybe I won't open a salon. And hired a lawyer, hired a realtor, came up with a business plan. I don't think I did it the right way. I do owe this man an apology. And I did send him a message during because it happened to me and it will happen to you if you don't do this. If you are going to open a salon and you want to, and you are currently in a place where you feel like you can take the next step, go rent a suite until you can open a salon. Don't bring the mess into your current salon, because I did do that. Not that I caused drama, but you get excited about building your own salon. So as much as I kept quiet, I was telling other friends that I had built relationships with, I'm opening a salon. I'm super excited. These are the colors I'm picking. This is what I'm doing. And karma comes around. So it happened to me when the first year I was in business, the whole salon left with the girl. So just don't do it to somebody so somebody doesn't do it to you, you know? Have a little bit of boundaries, learn from the people who've been doing this for a long time. But yeah, anyways, I left, opened a salon, did it. And I learned, I mean, being a salon owner, I just wish somebody would have told me how much money I would have made being a renter forever.
I know, isn't that true? I think that's one of the biggest learning lessons. And it's strange to me. I don't really know. I think this is going to be the new experiment, because there's so many salon owners now that are coming forward with being more transparent about really what goes into nurturing a business and actually how much money you really make when you're running a business versus renting a chair. So I think as that transparency comes more forward, I'm curious if that will make an impact in people making a decision moving forward if they actually want to open a salon, because it has to be more than like about making money, which unfortunately I think sometimes people like, oh, I'm going to cultivate this whole thing and I'm going to have like lots of money. And I feel like that could come later on in life, but it doesn't happen while you're building that business. So I think that's so relevant. I'm so thankful that you said that. And just like even putting out that karmic message with people, just like doing it the right way, starting out with a sweet salon ownership first before you expand into an actual salon space, I think is brilliant. Do you have any other tips that you feel like, just looking back on the course, like you've been through a lot?
Like, let's lean into that really quickly. I feel like you're right about what the salon ownership is about to change. So if you're a salon owner, I always say like the beginning of your salon ownership is really cool because you have the ability to charge rent however you want. And somebody who's been in the salon owning it for 7 years, it's going to be hard because you have to cultivate the team and you have to teach them and tell them, these are the things that we are going to change. And I hope you understand and I hope you stay with me. But if we don't change it, then we can no longer like progress or succeed, because the mentality is, if a hairdresser behind the chair opens and does hair right now, and they just graduated and they're charging $400, the hairdresser of 15 years doesn't change her prices. So the hairdresser who just begins makes more money, which is the same initial concept as a salon owner. If the salon owner doesn't ever change her rent, she will never grow. So in 20 years of owning her business, it would be different from a salon owner opening up today versus the salon opening up 7 years ago. And every salon owner is speaking about it. I feel like this is my duty this year, honestly, to like speak up about these changes and really teach I don't want to put any blame, but just teach other hairdressers that we have to be very intelligent. Read up on these things as the economy changes, learn about logistics, learn about where your product comes from. So when you are paying these higher fees, you also understand the background from where it comes from and why you're paying what you're paying. We're smart, man. We're smart. We have degrees. Like, we're so intelligent, but sometimes we look like we just do hair. And so we have to be the people who have been doing this for 15 years and longer, you, me, the people who have taught and teached and preached and coached. I want to not talk about IG and Reels. I want to start teaching and talking about what is going to be impactful for me in the next 20 years, because you didn't open a business. I didn't open a business. I'm Latina, and I didn't open a business to not have it in 20 years. This is economic, growth and wealth for my family, generational wealth. And this is something that we got to teach people head on. And so I hope to be a part of it, and I hope to be a part of the change. I hope there's a lot of things coming for you and I feel. And I hope every hairdresser is ready for it because it's about to take off.
Girl, I know I'm ready for it. And I just have to have you back like on a regular basis. So
oh my God, you're so sweet.
I'm going to be hitting you up, especially since you're like, well, I had a podcast for a while, but I can't pour energy into it. I absolutely love doing the podcast for this reason alone, because I know for a fact, all of you guys listening right now, we have a deeply rooted relationship. And I feel like this is the energy I want to keep pouring into it. So I'm just going to keep inviting you to come back on because
oh my God, I love it.
Yeah, you have so much advice to give and you are giving it with so much heart and passion. And that's something that really is important to me. So don't forget, guys, we are here for you each step of the way. So don't forget to just dream big, set goals, take action, and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.